Right now, everything comes down to the flower wine monk's treasure. If I can find it, all my problems will be solved. If I don't find it, all these issues will greatly slow down my speed of cultivation. If that happens, I'll lose out to people at my age in cultivating. I don't understand. I've spent more than a week trying to attract the liquor worm to appear. Why do I still not see it? Fang Yuan frowned and racked his brains. It was like putting food into his mouth, but still not knowing how it tasted. Suddenly there was a loud noise, interrupting his thoughts. Fang Yuan looked at the direction of the sound, realizing that the 6 hunters seated around the table at the middle of the hall were heavily drunk. The atmosphere around them was fiery, and their faces were all red. Brother Shan, come, drink another cup. Old brother Fang, we brothers admire your abilities. You took down a black-skinned wild boar alone. What a man. This cup of wine you must drink, or else you'll be disrespecting us. Thank you, brothers, for your sincerity, but I really can't drink anymore. Brother Fang can't drink anymore. Perhaps you dislike this wine because it's not good enough. Waiter, come over. Give me some good wine. The noise was becoming louder. It was obvious that the group had drunk a lot. The waiter hurriedly went over and said, well, good sirs, we do have good wine, but it is quite expensive. What? You're afraid we won't pay up? When the hunters heard the waiter, quite a few of them stood up and stared at the waiter. They were either big and tall or thick and burly in stature, capable and vigorous in a threatening manner, each having the courage that mountain men possess. The waiter quickly said, I would not dare to look down on you brave men. It's just that this wine is really expensive. 1 jar costs 2 pieces of primeval stone. A young man's voice came from the table at the dark corner. He, hilarious. Each one of them blindly shouting for nothing. If you can't afford to buy wine, you should just obediently keep your mouth shut, then go to the side. The hunter was furious when he heard this and stood up in a rage, his eyes fixed on the young man who spoke. Brad, you sure have a lot of work. Come, stand up and fight me. The young man got up from his seat as he heard the hunter's remark, grinning as he walked out from the shadows. His body figure was tall and thin, his skin pale. He was dressed in navy battle robes and looked clean and neat. His head wore a blue headband. His upper body had a jacket that showed his thin and weak shoulders. The lower body had long pants. The feet were covered in bamboo sandals and the calves were tied. The most important thing about him was the green belt on his waist. The middle of the belt was a shiny piece of copper. On the copper plate was a black one word. It's a Ren丨GuMaster. The hunter clearly understood what this manner of clothing represented. He drew in a deep breath, the anger on his face dissipating, replaced by alarm. He had never imagined that he actually provoked a GuMaster. With power, one can be at the top. This is the nature of this world. No, actually any world is also the same. The big fish eats the small fish, and the small fish eats the shrimp. It's just that this world shows it even more openly, Fang Yuan mused secretly. As Fang Yuan sniffed in the wine aroma, his eyes flashed for a moment. Then he took out 2 primeval stones and put them on the table. Waiter, give me a jar of green bamboo wine, he said indifferently. Then he walked out of the inn. Right now, the night grew thicker, the spring being shaped like a bow because it just finished raining continuously for 3 days and 3 nights. The turbid energy between the mountains had been washed away clean, leaving behind the purest of freshness. This fresh air was pure like a piece of wet paper and was more effective in spreading the wine aroma around. Fang Yuan was full of confidence tonight. Fang Yuan opened the jar seal, releasing a thick wine aroma instantly. Fang Yuan cheered in his heart as he slowly filtered the wine jar, pouring a small stream of wine, dripping it onto a stone. This is the helplessness of life, but it's also the charm of living. Fang Yuan laughed bitterly, turning to walk away. The end result of taking a rest was all but unsatisfactory. But when the result was ideal, the profit would be impressive. Fang Yuan liked taking risks. He was not a gambling addict, and he was not someone who was bent on gambling back what he lost. He had his own limit. He was clear about his own capabilities. It was at this moment. A gust of wind blew, lightly brushing away the clouds in the next day. Fang Yuan unconsciously stopped in his footsteps, feeling as if he was in a heavenly land. He was already about to depart, but at this moment he subconsciously looked around. He saw a dot of wet snow. Fang Yuan's pupils expanded fiercely, his body trembling slightly. His heart dropped and started pumping faster each second. It was the liquor worm. The liquor worm was shaped like a silkworm, its entire body giving up for a wet night. It was a little chubby and had a cute appearance. The liquor worm fed on wine and could fly. When it flew around, it would curl up into a ball, and its speed was very fast. Fang Yuan was unable to see the liquor worm clearly, but in the darkness he could feel the liquor worm directing its vigilance at him. He slowly backed away gently, trying his best not to disturb the liquor worm. He knew that if the liquor worm was to fly away, he could never catch up with his own speed. He needed to wait until the liquor worm drank until it was drunk, and then with its flying speed slowed down, he would have a chance to catch it. In a moment the liquor worm withdrew from the flower bud. Its body was fatter and its head swayed about, resembling a drunken man. Unexpectedly, it did not realize Fang Yuan's presence. Fang Yuan quickly followed after its trail. The liquor room was already heavily drunk, making it fly slower by half of its usual speed. Even though this was the case, Fang Yuan still had to run with all his might to follow after its shadow. The night was washing past his vision as the young teenager ran in the bamboo forest, chasing after a small bead of snow not far ahead. Going upward the mountain stream, he could already hear the sound of a waterfall. After he turned around the sparse forest, he saw the liquor worm fly into a crevice in the middle of a boulder. Fang Yuan's eyes lit up and he stopped in his tracks. So it's here, he panted heavily, his heart beating against his chest like mad. Looking around, he found that this place was a shallow benchland. On normal occasions, this benchland was dry, but due to the recent heavy rainfall that went on for 3 days and 3 nights, a shallow stream formed here. The source of the flowing stream was from the huge boulder that the liquor worm had entered into earlier. Fang Yuan walked to the boulder and took in a deep breath, and then he rushed in headfirst. He continued walking for another 50 to 60 steps, the red light growing brighter. With another few steps, he finally rushed into this light scene. His eyes were greeted with the sight of an approximately 80 meters square wide enclosure. The entire room was filled with dim red light, but he could not tell where the light was coming from. The liquor worm was resting on a clump of dead roots, sleeping soundly. It was already within easy reach. Fang Yuan walked over and took the liquor worm into his arms. Then he got onto his knees and pulled the dead vines apart, discovering a pile of skeleton bones bundled inside. "I finally found you, Flower Wine Monk." There was a smile on his lips as he saw this. Just as he was about to reach his hand out and strip away the remaining vines, suddenly, "Try touching it." A voice full of murderous intent suddenly sounded behind Fang Yuan. In this secret cave, someone's voice loomed behind all of a sudden. Even when it came to Fang Yuan, he could feel the hairs on the back of his neck standing, his scalp numb. He had been followed. Could it be that him repeatedly going out these few days had aroused the suspicion and attention of people? Or was it someone sent by his uncle? In that short moment, his mind flashed countless ideas and guesses, in addition to thinking of a solution. "You have already been poisoned by my single gate poison gold. Without my other god that acts as the counterpart to it, after 7 days, you will turn into pus and blood and die," the voice said behind him. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth, his expression cold. He said in a low tone, "You want the liquor worm? I can give it to you." He slowly stood up, his actions careful. But at this moment, another voice appeared. This voice was full of fear, and said in a tremble, "I'll give it. I can give you anything. Please just spare my life, Flower Wine Monk." "Wait a minute, this is..." Fang Yuan frowned and suddenly turned around in realization. He was met with the sight of life and shadow changing and fluctuating on the wall in front of him, a picture emerging. A lean and threatening GuMaster was standing at the top of a mountain. There was another GuMaster prostrating before him. "Sir Flower Wine, please remember my clan's generous hospitality earlier and spare my life." The GuMaster prostrating on the ground was shaking, cold sweat all over, tears and mucus mixing as he begged for mercy. Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes and carefully distinguished the two, realizing that the other GuMaster was wearing the Gu Yue Clan head uniform. Looking at the appearance, it was clear that this person was the 4th generation clan leader. He had generous hospitality. "You sure have the guts to say it. I was actually sincere in coming to trade with you, using primeval stones to buy your clan's main organs with a fair price. It was you who was harboring evil intentions, pretending to breathe and take me in, telling me to take a seat at your banquet, intending to lace my liquor with a poisonous gold. You all have been looking down on me way too much. I have made a living under the sky with the name of Flower Wine. How could I possibly be poisoned this way? Sir, please spare my worthless life." The 4th generation clan had shouted in dismay. "Sir, my clan has a spirit spring which produces primeval stones. We also planted huge numbers of moon organs in an underground cave. I am willing to take in your enslavement, go on, become your servant. My life and death are unaware. I am willing to devote a lifelong service with you, sir." The Flower Wine Monk narrowed his eyes. His anger had already calmed down. His eyes flashed, and he said, "HMTH, the enslavement is precious beyond reasoning. It is a red-5 gold. Do you really think I would have one? However, you have been infected by my single-gate poison gold. Only I can kill the poison, so I'm not afraid of you disobey. Since that is the case, your clan has to give me 3,000 stocks of moon organs every week, also 3,000 primeval stones. I will come around every now and then to pick up the goods and temporarily cure your poison, sparing your useless life. Thank you so much for your mercy, sir. Thank you so much for your mercy, sir." The 4th generation clan had cried repeatedly, cuddling non-stop. His head bled continuously as it bumped against the mountain rock. "HMTH, stop cuddling. I despise groveling people like you the most. What so-called Gu Yu genius? Strong rank firefighter? How unworthy of your name. You better serve me properly. This is also regarding your life." "Yerp." The Flower Wine Monk suddenly cried out, his face making a horrified expression. He kicked away the 4th generation clan head with his leg, his body swaying. He frantically backtracked a few big steps, yelling at the 4th generation clan head, "How do you still have Gu?" The 4th generation clan head was kicked at the pit of his stomach and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He got up with a painstaking effort, his face revealing a scheming smile. Hey, anybody has the right to punish people of the demonic faction. This is called Ming Shadow. It is the best at hiding. Even though it is only rank 4, but it has the ability to restrict the usage of the primeval seed and primeval essence. Demon, you and I have been fighting fiercely. You don't have many Gu Yu anymore. How could you possibly restrain the Ming Shadow Gu? Just obediently surrender and become my servant. As long as you serve me until I am happy, you will still have a chance to live. The Fire Yuan monk flew into a rage and roared, "To hell with you." His voice had barely faltered away when his body surged forward like a bolt of electricity, a punch landing onto the 4th generation clan head's heart. The 4th generation clan leader did not expect the Flower Yuan monk to be so radical. Even if his primeval seed was threatened, the Flower Yuan monk was unwilling to compromise. A huge force came and he flew into the air, his body falling onto the ground like a broken sack. The elders who were watching at the sidelines all roared in fury and swarmed the area. Ha ha ha, all those who are looking for death, come. The Fire Yuan monk cried into the air. Facing the elders charging at him, he rushed at them headfirst. A fierce battle ensued, and the Fire Yuan monk quickly had the upper hand. Very soon all the elders had collapsed onto the ground, some of them injured and the rest dead. Just as the Fire Yuan monk was about to finish off the surviving elders, his facial expression suddenly changed, and he covered a hand over his abdomen. "Damn, I'll come back in future to deal with you lot," said the Fire Yuan monk. He stared daggers at a few of the elders, and his body moved like electricity as he fled into the mountain woods, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The scene replayed itself over for the second time on the wall. Fang Yuan remained silent. When the motion picture started to repeat itself for the 3rd time, he finally sighed faintly and said, "I see." Back then, the 4th generation clan had tried to plot against the Fire Yuan monk, which he failed. After he lost in the battle, he tried a sneak attack. Even though it repelled away the latter, he eventually died because of it. This part of history was considered disgraceful, and the remaining surviving clan elders decided to tamper with the truth. They reversed the roles of the 4th generation clan head and the Flower Yuan monk. That GuMaster realized that if he single-handedly took the treasure, it would be a huge risk. If people investigated and found that he was involved with the Flower Yuan monk in future, the top brass would naturally execute him. Thus, after making his choice, he did not dare to hide away this treasure, would instead make a decision to notify the top brass. "I went through a pretty rough time searching for this treasure, so I should take everything for myself. Why should I share it with others? So what if I'd been found out? Without braving the risks, where would you get profit?" That GuMaster is really cowardly. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, no longer caring about the moving image that kept repeating on the stone wall. He turned around and stretched his hand, using his strength to pull apart the dead vines and roots. He found a bag of primeval stones. When he opened them, he only found 15 pieces. "Old miser," Fang Yuan spat. The Fire Yuan monk's outer appearance looked flashy, then unexpectedly he only had so little money put aside. The photo audio Gu can only record once, since it's a one-time use Gu. Looks like the liquor worm is my greatest gain here. No wonder the GuMaster decided to report to the clan. Looks like it was because the problem was too small, and not worth such a huge risk. A sort of understanding rose into Fang Yuan's heart. Should I also tell the clan? Fang Yuan thought for a moment, then he pushed away this idea. This image could entirely be sold to other villagers. Trust in the fact that the top brass of the 2 other villages on Qing Mao Mountain must be very interested in the sort of evidence that could strike hard onto the conviction of a clan. Heck, you said something about a sense of loyalty and honor to the clan. I'm so sorry, Fang Yuan does not have one bit of that. Moreover, this moving image isn't even some kind of strong force that can destroy the entire clan. It won't do much substantial damage. The indifferent nature of the clan will also not look at Fang Yuan with importance. He needed to rely on his own hard work and find cultivation resources. In the early stage of cultivation, he needed to borrow the powers around him more. Count on the clan? Hey, Fang Yuan sneered in his heart. How can I be so named like my past life? Do not depend on anyone. You must rely on yourself for everything in this world. Back to the inn, Fang Yuan pondered. Next up, I will need to set my heart on holding myself for finding this Gu as long as I have a vital break and return to the academy and be qualified to stay in the academy dormitory. I'll also be able to borrow the clan resources to cultivate. I can only stay in this inn for 1 or 2 times. If I stay too long, the cost is too much. He was originally left with 2 primeval stones, but now he gained 15 pieces, so the total is 17 pieces. For 2 GuMaster, this small amount of primeval stones mean nothing. The weaker the Gu's will, the smaller the resistance, the easier it becomes for me to refine it. However, any living creature will always have the will to live. To refine the moonlight gun would at least require 5 primeval stones. At the most, I'd need 8 pieces. Right now, to refine the liquor worm, I would need at least 11 pieces. At the most, I would need 16 pieces, although the liquor worm was also a rare one due like the moonlight gun, but it was definitely rare. Thus, the difficulty of the refinement process also increased. A GuMaster needed primeval stones to cultivate. Battles also require primeval stones. Refining also needed primeval stones. Trading was also not an exception. Without primeval stones, how could cultivation be possible? Fang Yuan sat cross-legged on the bed and took out the liquor worm. Fang Yuan revealed a satisfied smile. Right now my cultivation base is just that of a rank 1 initial stage. But with the liquor worms condensing, after the primeval essence is refined, I will be able to have rank 1 middle realm primeval essence. However, right now I have yet to fully master the liquor worm. It is only when I refine the liquor worm and turn it into my vital gu, then I will be able to freely use it, and later on with maximum efficiency, refine my primeval essence. Thinking up to this point, he no longer hesitated, and began to draw out a jet of green copper primeval essence from his primeval seed. The primeval essence tightly wrapped around the liquor worm, bringing it into the air before Fang Yuan, and started to invade its body. The liquor worm felt its life a danger and woke up immediately. It began to struggle violently, using its own power to drive out Fang Yuan's primeval essence. This liquor worm has a really strong resistance. Fang Yuan's complexion turned red as he felt the consumption rate of his primeval essence go beyond more than double of what the moonlight gu had consumed. No matter what, I have to refine the liquor worm. This liquor worm was originally the flower wine monk's vital gu. After the flower wine monk died, his straw will continue existing in the liquor worm. Right now, with Fang Yuan trying to refine the liquor worm, it actually meant fighting against the flower wine monk's will. This was way more difficult than trying to refine a natural gu. To refine this liquor worm in a month is impossible, unless there is a strong master who can use a rank 2 or rank 3 gu's breath to pressure this liquor worm and suppress the will inside the worm's body to the lowest limit. Under this kind of help, then will I be able to do twice as much with half the effort? As he pondered, Fang Yuan could not help but sigh. His parents had died while his aunt and uncle were plotting against him. He himself did not have any backing, so where could he possibly find external aid?